Welcome to Apologetics and Prophecy, the official podcast of Calvary Solid Ground, a remnant church in Orangevale, California. I am Pastor Jed, and I will be your host as we bring you Bible studies and updates put through an apologetical and biblical lens to see just how close we are to the return of our Lord. Thank you for joining us today. Maranatha, everyone. So glad that you could join us for this Friday edition of Apologetics and Prophecy, where we do a prophecy update. And, looking through the news today and yesterday, I had to say that time is running out. Time is running out. We just because we had an election that went in our favor that we've been praying for does not mean that the last days aren't being set up and that the time of the tribulation period isn't coming, because we see things going in the very direction that the Bible predicted. And just to remind us, Israel is in the news every day. The Middle East is a powder keg, and the Bible said that there would be certain things that happen in the Middle East that show us that the last days are coming, and one of them is Israel being victorious over her enemies around her to bring about peace, because in Ezekiel 38 and 39, which is still future, it says in verses 11 through 12, you will say, I will go up against a land of unwalled villages. I will go to a peaceful people who dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls and having neither bars nor gates, to take plunder and to take booty, to stretch out your hand against the waste places that are again inhabited, and against the people gathered from the nations who have acquired livestock and goods, who dwell in the midst of the land. So Israel needs to be back in the land, just like we said, and at peace before this invasion of Russia, Iran, and Turkey come down to invade. And we see this new administration that's coming in is exactly wanting to do that, broker peace deals with Israel to bring about this peace that will ultimately come about. Either this could be after the covenant made with the Antichrist, or the setup where he confirms the covenant that's already there. But we know that this war will happen, and that we see Israel going in the direction that she should be in for this to take place. And we know that she's going to have control of all of Israel at one point, because it says in Ezekiel 36, verse 8, but you, O mountains of Israel, you shall shoot forth your branches and yield your fruit to my people, for they are about to come. Well, the mountains of Israel, most of them are in Judea and Samaria, which what they today call the West Bank. And that's why there's so many problems when people want to divide the land, because that land is supposed to be Israel's. And so, but the one thing that we know will mark right before the tribulation begins, and that tells us in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 3, that says, when they say peace and safety, or peace and security, then sudden destruction comes upon them as labor pains upon a pregnant woman, and they shall not escape. And there's a lot of talk about peace and security, wars and rumors of wars, these peace treaties to bring about, and ceasefires that we hear about in the news are all, part of this thing that's going to happen, where we want to, in order to bring peace and security to the world, we are going to put our hat into the ring to this global government that we see being built around us. But what's happening in Israel? We know Syria fell since my last update. We did talk about it, but on Sunday, the whole country fell, the Assad regime, which was, the devil that we knew, but the people that took over they're not any better. And so we're going to see that. But so Israel is taking care of business. He does, this they're taking advantage of this destability, the destability in the country, by taking out any of their weapons that they had of the old government. So the new government doesn't have all these weapons to do what? To attack Israel. And it's very interesting, because in Ezekiel 38 and 39, Syria is not mentioned. Syria is not mentioned. Syria is mentioned in Psalm 83, which is interesting, but not here. And so we see this first story, IDF hit more than 300 Syrian regime targets in 2 days, effectively wiping out Air Force. Well, the last story that I saw was up to 450, but This gives us some details. It says the aerial assault is reportedly focused on Air Force bases, including entire squadrons of fighter jets. The Air Defense Forces have conducted 300 strikes in Syria since Sunday's ouster of Bashar Assad, as Israeli media reported on Tuesday, making the heaviest air campaign in the country since the 1973 Yom Kippur War. Israel's Ynet news outlet cited Western intelligence sources late Monday night as confirming the figure, saying that the aerial assault is mainly targeting Air Force bases, including entire squadrons of fighter jets. It is believed that the Syrian Air Force could be destroyed in its entirety within a few days, Ynet noted, which could substantially reduce the threat posed to the Jewish state by the incoming Syrian government. The last time Israel destroyed an entire Air Force was in 1967 when the Egyptian Air Force was wiped out in the first hours of the Six-Day War. So just this war is no different than all the wars that will take Israel to where she needs to be, where she's anxious for peace, is burnt out on war and ready to make a peace deal. And that's when the Antichrist will step in and confirm this covenant. So Israel is right where she needs to be for this time. Time is short. We're coming to the time is coming soon, and so we know that. And but it wasn't just the Air Force, which I believe the last number I heard was 80 or 85% completely destroyed by this time. But she also wiped out the Navy. This next story from Prophecy Newswatch is Israel just sank the entire Syrian Navy and crippled the Air Force. So this is a little bit newer article. It says, while radical Sunni militants were conquering Damascus, Israel was conducting an absolutely massive bombing campaign inside Syria that is unlike anything we have seen before. The IDF is telling us more than 350 targets were hit. Basically, the goal was to destroy as much military hardware as possible so that it would not fall into the hand of the militants. The Israelis were concerned that the militants might use the military hardware that it inherited against them, and so they took preemptive action. Unfortunately, the militants are now steaming mad, and some of them are already publicly threatening Israel. Syria never had a large navy to begin with, but now it is completely neutralized. According to the BBC, Israeli naval forces struck the ports at El Bada and Latika on Monday night. Israel has confirmed it carried out airstrikes on Syria's naval fleet as part of its efforts to neutralize military assets in the country after the fall of the Assad regime. In a statement, the Israeli Defense Forces said its ships sunk the ports at Al-Baida and Latika on Monday night, where 15 vessels were docked. And so their navy is gone. And then what do we see happening? What about these militant groups that, we told you last time were funded by the CIA? ISIL was a product of the Obama regime, and Biden, of course, has been giving money to them and training them. And, these people are the people that have now taken over Assad. This is the fruit of the Arab Spring that we had, back in 2011. And so, but who are these people and what are they doing? And it's not good. It says extremist groups carry out revenge sectarian killings in HTS-controlled Syria. So they're already going out and killing people, and we already know that Christian minorities are a big threat because this is ISIS, and that's what they did in Mosul when they went in there and wiped out a bunch of Christians that were there. And so we know what's happening. It says dozens of summary executions have been reported across the country since former al-Qaeda and ISIS leaders took control of Damascus. Extremist armed factions across Syria are carrying out executions of civilians and soldiers amid the chaos of the fall of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's government. Al-Mayadin reports on December 10th that a video circulating on social media shows armed and HTS, the al-Qaeda offshoot that took control of Damascus on Saturday, carrying out field executions of unarmed men in the village of Al-Rabia in the country of Latika. The militants referred to the men as Shabiha, a derogatory term long used to describe pro-government Syrian soldiers and civilians. The HTS Operation Administration reported ongoing clashes, including the encirclement of a group of officers inside a fortified farm in the village of Al-Mayadin stated. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights reported on Tuesday that according to its sources, the Turkish-backed Syrian army carried out executions and assaulted properties of nearly 30,000 Kurdish families in Manbij city. The Nawahi and Al-Asada neighborhoods, SNA militants burned houses of civilians, stole their property, and executed at least 3 people, including a woman, SOHR added. On Monday, ISIS militants killed 54 Syrian army soldiers who were fleeing an attack by the terror group in the central province of Homs. And so we know what these guys are doing, and they're not hiding their intentions. In some of these videos, I had to find the ones with the English subtitles so we could understand what they're saying. But here's the first one that we have.
دخلنا مسجد بني أمية مطأطئين الرؤوس ذليلين لله سبحانه وتعالى خاضعين له سبحانه وتعالى نقول أن من نصرنا هو الله وأن الله تعالى بقوته هو الذي نصرنا لا بقوتنا ولا بحولنا. هنا عقر دار الإسلام، هنا الشام، هنا عمر بن عبد العزيز، هنا أرض الإسلام، هنا دمشق، هنا فسطاط المسلمين، من هنا يا قدس، من هنا قادمون يا قدس. صبرا يا أهل غزة، صبرا صبرا. تكبير الله أكبر. لبيك 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 يا أقصى، لبيك 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 يا أقصى، لبيك 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 يا أقصى.
So you see, that's what they want. This is the fruit of Obama's Arab Spring. The money that was funded to these people are not happy with. This was the Levant. This is ISIL. This is what the goal was with the Arab Spring all along was, and I think they knew and understood that their goal was to go after Israel. They're telling the Gazans to wait and be patient, but look, that's their goal. And if that one isn't enough, here's another one that is even more detailed that they did.
الله أكبر. رئيس الأركان الإسرائيلي يقول أن جبهة سوريا هي جبهة قتال، ونحن من الغوطة نقول له لوين يا رجال؟ لوين يا رجال؟ تكبير تكبير. جئناكم يا يهود.
So you see where they're saying they're coming from the Jews. Now, don't forget that this is also happening in the West Bank. What's happening in the West Bank right now after this? Well, this is you would think that human rights people would be speaking out against something like this, but watch this video with these kids. Those are kids holding guns and weapons. If we had a video like that here in the United States, where we had some kids in Montana walking around at 8 years old with weapons in their hands, saying vote for Trump, man, what do you think would happen? They'd have the FBI, the ATF, and everybody all over them. The news across the globe will be talking about these human rights abuses of training kids to carry weapons. But what's happening here with this so-called religion of peace? The one that Bush was throwing down our throat and the one that Obama was throwing down our throat. How many years? 16 years of this religion of peace, we were told, and only for them to show their true colors now with their eyes towards Israel. That's what they want to do. And then, of course, what about the incoming administration? We should be worried when we see stories like this that says Trump's Middle East advisor pushes for Palestinian statehood. Again, this is what got Trump in trouble the first time. Jared Kushner and his deal of the century. And then what the next thing you know, man, Trump Trump's in trouble, and here we go again. It's a cycle of madness that keeps coming around. It says President-elect Donald Trump's newly appointed advisor on Middle Eastern and Arab affairs is pushing for Israeli concessions that many thought were off the table. In an interview with French magazine Le Point, Lebanese-American billionaire Mossad Boulos argued that Palestinian statehood must be part of negotiations if United States hopes to establish relations between Israel and Saudi Arabia. I think the issue of a roadmap that would lead to a Palestinian state is an important part of the discussions between the United States and Saudi Arabia, Boulos said in a wide-ranging interview. It is certainly a very important point. Boulos claimed that many Arab countries would follow suit in recognizing Israel if Saudi Arabia took the first step. It is important to remember that Saudi Arabia is not demanding the creation of a Palestinian state today, but is asking for a vision and a roadmap for it. That's all. He said today the president's priority is to resume discussions on the Abraham Accords with, of course, Saudi Arabia first, because we know very well, and the president has said that once we agree with Saudi Arabia on Israel, there will be at least 12 Arab countries that will immediately follow suit. And so the Arab Accords, though, that's an economic treaty, an economic agreement, and but not, they're talking about this path towards a Palestinian statehood, but we know it will never happen. It will never happen. And of course, Trump right now is on top of the world right now. And this could be, we would like to see him succeed. We want our presidents to succeed. We want our country to be prosperous. But, if they keep trying to get Israel to divide the land, how long will it take him to knock him off this throne as time makes him the person of the year? Trump is the person of the year, and all of a sudden everybody is changing their tune. Here's a 30-second video of Trump just yesterday ringing the bell at the New York Stock Exchange. I saw a longer video with all the crowds and the big to-do. There was nobody protesting. People were patting him on the back and saying thank you, and people were wearing their MAGA hats all through the stock exchange. There was nobody there wearing any, with signs or they were all smiling and happy and full of joy, and it was quite the scene. I mean, Trump right now is on top of the world, and it wasn't that long ago. It was only in September when Time Magazine had this, Trump in trouble. This was in September, just right before the election. And, they had convicted Trump he was convicted of this felony and this bad trial that was in New York. And everybody was saying nobody's above the law and that, he's in trouble, and, Time Magazine. And then now they're shining this light on him like he's, the on top of the world. So, just keep your eye on what he does with Israel. If he lets Israel fight their war, if he lets Israel do what they need to do and not get into the dividing the land business, I think he'll be successful. But the moment that he demands that Israel, give land to the Palestinians, it will have some kind of economic or some type of chaos in our country that will bring him down. And I guarantee you that will happen. And so he's on top of the world now, but his advisors, the ones that he's bringing in, are already talking about this whole Jared Kushner deal of the century thing, which is not going to be good. And so, we know what Israel is planning on doing. Now, Israel has basically carved a path through Syria, through the unrest, to prepare a strike the Iranian nuclear sites. I have heard from Amir Safari even today, this morning, saying something's afoot. either with Yemen or Iran. They're hush-hush about it, but it very well could be. It says events in Syria created a window of opportunity, sources have told Times of Israel. The Israeli Air Force is carrying out preparations for potential strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities, military officials have told Times of Israel. West Jerusalem believes that the surprise takeover of Syria by jihadist rebels has weakened Tehran's position in the region, which could prompt Iran to speed up its atomic program, the outlet said. Meanwhile, Israeli airstrikes have taken out most of Syrian air defenses, clearing the way for an operation against Iran. So they've got an open window. We could be, before this thing even airs in this afternoon, that, who knows what could happen, but keep your eye on it. And just think, if they set Iran back, and just think of the animosity that will brew in Iran and the Muslim world, and Russia being being spurned in Syria, which was their baby. That all of a sudden, this could set up this false peace, this short time of peace that would bring about this huge army to come against Israel. Anything's possible, but we just keep praying and looking up and know that time is short. The time is short. And so, but we have more of the crazy, kooky things going on. This is going to show you how inept our government really is and how unprepared we are for things, that emergencies and things like that. Is this next story that's been going through, and that started last week, but it picked up a lot of steam this week, and that's unexplained reports of drones flying over New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. Here's what we know. Now, I went on X and looked at a bunch of these videos, and some of these drones, they look like drones, but they're big, and some of them are doing things that I haven't seen any drone flying around anywhere doing. So we have a lot more questions than we have answers, and it's very unfortunate. For several weeks, citizens across New Jersey as well as New York and Pennsylvania, and I saw some reports from Connecticut yesterday, have reported seeing clusters of drone-like objects flying low in the sky at night, and state officials have asked FBI for answers as information remains scarce about the continued sighting. New Jersey police announced on November 19th that officers had witnessed drone activity the previous night over Morris County in the state's northwest corner, and they said they would investigate the activity. They noted rumors were spreading on social media and said there was no known threat to public safety. In the weeks since the first sightings, drones have been spotted in 8 New Jersey counties, and social media posts have spread, with one describing the drones as large and loud, while many users have posted videos showing the lit objects hovering in the night sky. A New Jersey resident told NJ.com he had seen the drones every night, and a New Jersey police chief described the drones as the size of a car and bigger than the standard drones available for amateur drone flyers in a press conference. In December, reports of unidentified drone sightings appeared over Staten Island in New York, and other sightings occurred in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And so we see this, they're talking about December 10th in New Jersey, December 10th in all over the place. And it says the Federal Aviation Administration responded to in early December by implementing later extending temporary flight restrictions on drone use over the Pickney Arsenal military base in Bedminster, which is home to President-elect Trump's National Golf Club in Bedminster. So the FBI came out and said that it says that the FBI joined several New Jersey police investigations, announcing a public request for more information on observed cluster of what looked to be drones and possible fixed-wing aircraft. And then there was reports in the Air Force in UK, the bases in UK. We shared that story recently. So what happened? So they had on Monday the Congress wanted answers, so they had an emergency hearing, and this is what came out of that hearing, which I had to shorten it a little bit so we're not here all day. But here you go.
Well, here's the real deal, Harris. I'm also on the Transportation Committee, on the Aviation Subcommittee, and I've gotten to know people. And from very high sources, very qualified sources, very responsible sources, I'm going to tell you the real deal. Iran launched a mothership probably about a month ago that contains these drones. That mothership is off, I'm going to tell you the deal. It's off the east coast of the United States of America. They've launched drones, is everything that we can see or hear. And again, these are from high sources. I don't say this lightly. Now, we know there was a probability it could have been our own government. We know it's not our own government because they would have let us know. It could have been some really glorified hobbyist or hobbyists that were doing something unbelievable. They don't have the technology. But let's pretend that's possible. The third possibility was somebody, an adversarial country, doing this. Know that Iran made a deal with China to purchase drones, motherships, and technology in order to go forward.
So he says they're from Iran. And I have no reason to doubt this guy. There's no reason for him to come out and lie. He is a representative of the United States government from New Jersey, and he would want to get to the bottom of these things. And if the government is not doing anything about it, he seems that he needs to leak out information that we have no reason to doubt him. But of course, what do we have coming back from our current administration is this.
Jen. Sabrina, can you tell me what the Pentagon is doing to address this issue of drone sightings over New Jersey? It's near sensitive installations. The FBI is involved. What is the Pentagon doing?
Sure. So at this time, aware of those drone sightings that have been reported, at this time we have no evidence that these activities are coming from a foreign entity or the work of an adversary. We're going to continue to monitor what is happening, but at no point were our installations threatened when this activity was occurring.
Can you rule out that these are American drones or U.S. military drones?
These are not U.S. military drones. Again, this is being investigated by local law enforcement. What our initial assessment here is that these are not drones or activities coming from a foreign entity or adversary.
Representative Jeff Van Drew, who is a Republican from New Jersey, was just on the air saying that Iran launched a mothership probably about a month ago that contains these drones, and that mothership is off the coast of the east coast of the United States. Is there any truth to that?
There is not any truth to that. There is no Iranian ship off the coast of the United States, and there's no so-called mothership launching drones towards the United States.
So they're denying the whole thing. They say that, that Iran has nothing. These aren't foreign adversaries. They still don't know what they are. And so guess what? Yesterday, this breaks yesterday, which makes, there's something fishy when they come out and say this. New Jersey drone sightings are lawfully operated manned aircraft, White House says. And why hasn't anybody come out and said what they are? Why don't we get their tail numbers and their FAA numbers? Why don't they, if this is true, then provide us with the information that show us that they are. And it just shows you that this is John Kirby says no evidence, foreign adversaries behind New Jersey drone sightings. White House National Security Communication Advisor John Kirby claimed Thursday that many of the purported drone sightings spotted over New Jersey for the past several weeks are actually lawfully operated manned aircraft. We have no evidence at this time that the reported drone sightings pose a national security or public safety threat or have foreign nexus, Kirby told reporters at the daily White House press briefing. The Department of Homeland Security and the FBI are investigating these sightings, and they're working closely with state and local law enforcement to provide resources using numerous detection methods to better understand their origin. If you don't know their origin, how do you know they're lawful? See, it shows you this typical administrative, don't worry, we got you nothing to see here, keep moving on. Using very sophisticated electronic detection technologies provided by federal authorities, we have been able to, and neither have state or local enforcement authorities, corroborate any of the reported visual sightings. Meaning they see the videos, people told them, but we have no way to corroborate it because we have radar, we would know, right? Gosh. Kirby said to the contrary, upon review of available imagery, it appears that many of the reported sightings are actually manned aircraft that are being operated lawfully. The United States Coast Guard is providing support to the state of New Jersey and has confirmed that there's no evidence of any foreign-based involvement from coastal vessels. And importantly, there are no reported or confirmed drone sightings in any restricted airspace. But that's not true. They have seen them in areas that maybe they put the restricted airspace there after the fact. And so they were there. And so, but you know, if they, you know that they can spot these things, and if there was something that we knew that we could, they would take care of business like they did for this guy. Chinese suspect arrested for flying drone over U.S. military base. So they arrested this guy last week. Chinese national has been arrested for allegedly flying a drone over Vandenberg Space Force Base in California's Santa Barbara County. I don't know how to pronounce this guy. His name, he was taken into custody at San Francisco International Airport just before boarding a flight to China, according to the Justice Department. A resident of Brentwood, this guy has been charged with violating national defense airspace and failing to register an aircraft not providing transportation. Zhu made his first court appearance on Tuesday at the U.S. District Court in San Francisco, a Justice Department spokesman told Newsweek. Magistrate Judge Sally Kim ordered him to be released on personal reconnaissance, allowing him to leave custody without bail on the condition that he attend future court hearings. So this guy got arrested for flying a drone, but we don't know what's happening in New Jersey. We know that they're lawful and legal, but we have no idea what they are. So it just tells you how idiotic. And it's funny, this guy should have waited. Too bad this guy didn't get arrested earlier, because if he got arrested earlier, he very well would have been pardoned, because Biden commutes nearly 1,500 sentences and pardons 39 people in biggest single day act of clemency. And, you know, we're hoping that this paves the way. Because Biden did it, then Trump should have no problem doing it the first day he gets in office to all the J6ers that are in prison. So that's what we're hoping. President Joe Biden is commuting the sentence of roughly 1,500 people who were released from prison and placed on home confinement during the coronavirus pandemic, and is pardoning 39 Americans convicted of nonviolent crimes. It's the largest single day act of clemency in modern history. The commutations announced Thursday are for people who had served out home confinement sentences for at least 1 year after they were released. Prisons were uniquely bad for spreading the virus, and some inmates were released in part to stop the spread. At one point, 1 in 5 prisoners had COVID-19, according to a tally kept by the Associated Press. Biden said he would be taking more steps in the weeks ahead and would continue to review clemency positions. The second largest single day act of clemency was by Barack Obama, with 330 shortly before leaving office in 2017. So, but who are some of these people that he's pardoned? Thanks to Amir Safari for providing me this. That says we have one guy, he's Chinese, he has conspiracy to commit economic espionage, conspiracy to commit trade secret theft, attempted economic espionage by theft or fraud. And then this other guy was conspiracy to defraud the United States, impersonating agents of foreign governments. And then look at this guy. These are all Chinese nationals, by the way. And this other guy, he was arrested for possession of child pornography. Why would you let him out? That, you're letting out pedophiles out of prison that are, this is the payback to his handlers in China, I guess. But, it's just ridiculous. And then, then this story here is something that we were turned off of. YouTube should pay attention. Facebook and these other shadow banners need to pay attention to the fact that we were saying this at the beginning. And are they going to give an apology to Rudy Giuliani, who came out and said it like the day after on January 7th? I don't think so. But we got this. This is a Fox News article from yesterday that said DOJ IG reveals 26 FBI informants were present on January 6th. Oh, that's just a conspiracy theory, guys. But it says the FBI only directed 3 confidential, and they told us there were none. They told us they were none. But now they're admitting that they did send 3 there. But why were there 26? We don't know. 3 confidential human sources to attend the events of January 6, Horowitz said. Justice Department Inspector General Michael Horowitz said there were more than 24 confidential human sources in the crowd outside the Capitol on January 6th. But only 3 were assigned by the FBI to be present for the event, while stressing that none of the sources were authorized or directed by the Bureau to break the law or encourage others to commit illegal acts. Horowitz on Thursday released a highly anticipated report on the FBI's handling of its confidential human sources and intelligence collection efforts in the lead up to the January 6, 2021 electoral certification. According to the report, there were a total of 26 confidential human sources in the crowd that day, but only 3 were assigned by the Bureau to be there. So even though there was 26, that he's only aware of the 3. Of course, they're not telling them any information, but it's just those things that are happening. And then, we've been talking a long time about the Catholic Church's anti-Semitic bent in full flavor this last week as the Pope meets P.A. Abbas at the Vatican for the first time in 3 years. Now, this Pope here says that Muslims worship the same God as you and I, and that is not true. Pope Francis meets Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas at the Vatican, their first face-to-face encounter in 3 years, as the pontiff has become more vocal in his criticism of Israel's military campaigns against Hamas in Gaza and Hezbollah in Lebanon. The 2 men held private talks for a half hour, the Vatican says, but offered few other details about the meeting. A statement says Abbas also met afterwards with the Catholic Church's top diplomatic officials to discuss the very serious humanitarian situation in Gaza, where it is hoped that there will be a ceasefire and the release of all hostages as soon as possible. And then, of course, this last week, too, the Palestinians, and I don't know if it was when this happened, but they gave the Vatican or the Pope a nativity scene. But notice the picture of this nativity scene. Notice baby Jesus, that's a kippah. And the kippah, of course, represents from the river to the sea. And they try to say that Jesus was a Palestinian. This shows you how apostate that the Catholic Church has become. But what about how apostate the world has become? This next story is the Satanic Temple hosting satanic holiday carols and large satanic altar at Iowa State Capitol. What's wrong with Iowa? Those guys, you would think they'd be standing up against this kind of stuff, but it says the Satanic Temple of Iowa is hosting the family-friendly Satanic Holiday Joy at the Iowa State Capitol this coming Saturday, where they tell attendees to expect, along with handing out coloring pages and an ornament decorating station for the kids, satanic holiday carols. Now, what's that? Hate to the world? Or hark the herald demons sing? I don't know. What do you think? A large satanic altar and display a devilish Sol Invistus Saturnalia ornament making station and ritual. They will also have a costume contest with prizes for whoever dresses up as the best Krampus, which is a horned half-goat, half-demon figure from Central and Eastern European folklore who punishes children who misbehave. So great. The satanic people are having their to do at the state capitol, and it really shows you, that time is short. How much longer is God going to put up with all of this? And then this story came out this last week, which I didn't see in many headlines, but it's the World Economic Forum document that came out seeks global government and digital ID for life within the internet. So they want to put this whole push for digital ID is going to be brought up in the next year by our current administration. It's going to say it's a voluntary thing and we're doing it for the betterment of you and society, but not understanding when the next regime comes in, it could become mandatory, which it will when the Antichrist comes on the scene. And it says the World Economic Forum published a white paper in November, just last month, detailing the need for global governance due to life within a future internet or metaverse, as well as how digital methods of verifying a user's identity are necessary, as well as mentioning the role of biometric sensors. Note that the metaverse, the document referred to, is a general term for a blended reality within the future internet, not necessarily the proper noun Meta, a specific system associated with Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg, which is itself a specific metaverse project. The white paper, Shared Commitments in a Blended Reality, Advancing Governance in the Future Internet, discussed the theoretical management and governance of future information technology systems designed for humans to experience a broader digital life within. The white paper declared that the need for global government is urgent due to the Internet's continuing advancement. Current Internet governance is decentralized and fragmented, highlighting the urgent need for collaborative global governance frameworks, the white paper said on page 8. The white paper defined what the future digital life consists of and posits that governance must evolve to incorporate itself into the management of such systems. The convergence and adoptions of key emerging technologies like extended reality, paired with artificial intelligence, 6G, Internet of Things, blockchain, robotics, digital twins, I don't know what that is, but it's not good, etc., is propelling the internet to a new blended reality, often referred to as the metaverse or the future of the internet. The white paper said on page 4, some technologies believe that the metaverse is the experience layer or the interface layer of the future internet, which will be underpinned by scaling technologies like XR hardware, AI, and distributed ledger technology, including blockchain and other applications. This blended reality requires a cohesive governance approach that considers the expanding interplay between digital networks, hardware, software, data, and the norms and expectations of physical reality. This report outlines a vision of how governance must evolve to meet this unique challenges posed by this new blended reality paradigm. And of course, we know that that's going to happen during the reign of the Antichrist. He's going to be in control of everything, and nobody will be able to buy and sell unless they align themselves with the Antichrist and take his mark, whichever that might be, a blending of this stuff. It's amazing to me that the closer we get to the tribulation, now we see the time is short, the more the pictures and the coloring of this system is coming about. We can see it, and it's not slowing down. The time is short, you guys. And then what about this Newsweek story that came out last week? Hundreds of vials of deadly viruses missing after lab breach. Oh boy, here we go again. Hundreds of vials containing live viruses have gone missing from a laboratory in Australia, sparking an investigation. Queensland's Health Minister Tim Nichols announced that the 323 samples of live viruses, including Hendra virus, Lysa virus, and hantavirus, went missing in 2021 in a very serious breach of biosecurity protocols. They've been missing that long, they just discovered it now. What, do they never do inventory? Do they not even look in the fridge there where those are stored? I mean, what, nobody even bothered to notice? The breach was discovered in August of 2023. Why are we just finding out a year later now? With nearly 100 of the missing vials containing Hendra virus, which is deadly. 2 of the vials contain hantavirus, while 223 vials samples of Lysa virus. According to a statement from the Queensland government, there's no evidence of risk to the community from the breach, as the viruses would have degraded very quickly and substantially and become harmless to humans. How do we know they're not being kept in another lab somewhere? These people, they always say, oh, no, nothing to see here. And we're just finding out now, years after this happened. It's just ridiculous, you know. And then what about our current, now, of course, Biden is doing everything to wreck everything as fast as possibly as he can before he leaves office. Biden regime quietly extends COVID-19 emergency declaration to shield Big Pharma from the you-know-what and liability until 2029. The Biden administration has quietly extended a controversial emergency declaration under the Public Readiness and Emergency Preparedness Act until December 31st, 2029. Secretary Bacara, which he came from California, signed the 12th Amendment to the declaration under the PrEP Act for medical countermeasures. The Secretary issued this amendment pursuant to Section 319F-3 of the Public Health Service Act to extend the duration of the declaration to December 31st, 2029, and to republish the declaration in full, according to the announcement. The timing, conveniently, ensures that Big Pharma and the you-know-what makers remain shielded from liability through President Trump's second term and beyond. According to the Federal Register notice reviewed by the Gateway Pundit, I am now amending Section 12 of the Declaration to extend the time period of PrEP Act coverage through December 31st, 2029. The 2020 problem continues to present a credible risk to a future public health emergency. So it hasn't gone. They're saying it hasn't gone away yet. They said that this thing that happened in 2020 continues to be a cause of significant serious illness, morbidity, and mortality during outbreaks. The risk of domestic cases is high due to ongoing outbreaks continued domestically and internationally in the year since this thing ended. Development and of stockpiling the you-know-whats for this thing that happened in 2020 continues to be needed for U.S. preparedness against the credible threat of a public health emergency due to more of 2020 over and over again, just in time for the Trump presidency. And so I hope he figures some way to turn this out. But just so you know what they are covering up, this video right here is, will show you just a reminder here.
Sealed, perfectly sealed, brand new box of the J&J vaccine. You can see here, I'm going to break this open, and perfectly on top is this perfectly normal package insert. A lot of safety and efficacy data. In fact, all of the normal information that we would find in a package insert, like the ingredients, that would all be found right here in this package insert. Must be magic.
They want to keep those pages blank for as long as possible, you guys, even though a lot of truth is already snuck out. But this is the reality of what they're doing. They're fooling you and I, and we need to stop that. And how are they fooling us again with this whole climate change mess? This story here, fake climate doom. Recent research shows vast majority of Pacific Atoll islands have grown in size. Remember, the oceans are rising because of climate change, you guys. And we keep telling you this. And it says recent peer-reviewed research shows the vast majority of the 709 investigated Pacific islands on the whole have been growing over the past decades. Some islands have even doubled in size. So that they've been doing research here to see, hey, okay, we're going to mark how much the oceans are rising and the islands are actually growing. I mean, they keep telling us the same lie over and over again when you can go and look at, say the Cliff House in San Francisco. I used to go to that beach when I was a kid, and they've got pictures of the Cliff House in the 1800s before the earthquake. And then I can go there today, take a picture of the Cliff House, and it's the same scene, same ocean. The beach is still there, just like it was when I was a kid and like it was 100 years ago. The oceans haven't risen. It's a lie that they keep telling us. But so what are they doing? They're pushing this madness to the point where it's affecting the health of the people of UK. Here's this Gateway Pundit article. It says, new Bovaer fears UK government commits to giving all cows in England controversial feed by 2030 amid ongoing dairy boycott over toxic additives. So they've been putting this stuff into the cows. The people are finding out, and they won't drink the milk. They won't eat this stuff. They're trying this whole whole campaign of don't worry, it's safe, but we have to save the planet Earth. And so that's the whole point here. It says all suitable British cattle will be given methane reducing chemical Bovaer or Bovaer-like products by law by 2030 under controversial government plans. A Department for Environment, Food and Ritual Affairs document that details the plan to mandate the use of methane-suppressing feed products in English cattle has sparked concern on social media due to claims the substance can leach into dairy, causing health problems. It comes after furious Brits have vowed to boycott more than a dozen makers of dairy products, including Lure Park, over fears they are allegedly contaminated with this additive, which has been questionably linked to cancer. So they're adding this stuff because cow farts are bad for the environment. We're not making this stuff up. But now they're actually altering the food chain to try to save Mother Earth because of the climate change madness. Now, here's a video. This is what we got today. This video of this lady describing it.
Right, so let's take a look at some of the side effects of this Bovaer. Skin and eye irritant, potentially harmful when inhaled. This is the worst. It may damage male fertility and reproductive organs. So when you handle this chemical that they're going to feed to the cows, you must wear protective gear, a dust mask, impervious gloves, wash your hands after handling, rinse your eyes. So how can they possibly call that safe? Imagine having to handle a substance in that way and then feeding it to anything. Is it going to get into the milk? Is it going to get into the flesh? This is absolutely insane to me. It's just beyond belief. And of course, you've got Bill Gates and all the backers behind it. And we are not going to know what products this is being used for. Can you imagine this getting into the food chain?
So how long are we going to put up with the safe and effective lie that they keep shoving down our throats? Trying to tell us they know what's best for us. These are the technocrats. These are the evil Luciferian government leaders. These are the people that aren't going to let up just because Donald Trump won as president. Time is short, you guys. Things are falling into place before we know it. And just to remind us, as we see the setup coming to what we know will happen during the tribulation period, because let's just review the four seals. Revelation 6, 1 and 2. Now I saw the Lamb open one of the seals, and this is the beginning of the tribulation period. And I heard one of the four living creatures saying with a voice like thunder, "Come and see." And I looked, and behold, a white horse, and he who sat on it had a bow, strength and power, and victorious on a white horse. That's how the early hearers would have heard this bow, symbol of strength, peace through strength, and a crown was given to him. The world gives him the crown as the world leader, and he went out, and guess what he's going to do? He's going to conquer and conquer the entire world. And then the next seal, 3 through 4, when he opened the second seal, I heard the second living creature saying, "Come and see." And another horse, fiery red, went out, and it was granted to the one who sat on it to take peace from the earth. So now there's war, and that people should kill one another. And another was given, and there was given to him a great sword. So war will break out immediately after the beginning of the tribulation period. And this Antichrist comes on the scene. He's given world power. And then it says in the third seal, when he opened the third seal, I heard the third living creature say, "Come and see." And I looked, behold, a black horse, and he who sat on it, a pair of scales in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four living creatures saying, "A quart of wheat for a denarius, and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius, and do not harm the oil and the wine." So there'll be this famine that breaks out across the globe. It's a famine, a global famine. So we have, the Antichrist comes on the scene, war, famine, and then death. As we see the fourth seal says, when he opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the four living creatures saying, "Come and see." And so I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and the name of him who sat on it was Death, and Hades followed with him. And power was given to them over a fourth of the earth, to kill with sword, with hunger, with death, and with the beasts of the earth. So immediately, beginning of the tribulation period, the horses, it shows the idea between horses, they're like leaving the gate one after another. They're just like immediately, that's showing the quickness and swiftness of how these things will come about at the beginning of the tribulation period. We're not there yet. Don't let anybody tell you, oh, the seals have opened. No, they have not. The tribulation period does not begin until Jesus opens the seal to the scroll, which is the title deed for creation, which was forfeited by Adam in the garden. He's coming to reclaim it, and then because he has the rightful authority to do so, he's claiming it to come back and take back creation, which has been affected by the curse. And so all of this fits together, and we see it coming, and we know that time is running out. Time is running out. It is short. We are running out of time before this tribulation period is coming. We see all the signs and the setup happening. The colors of the tribulation period are starting to color in the full picture of what it's going to look like as we get closer to the time of the 70th week of Daniel. But before that happens, you and I that have placed our faith and trust in Christ are going to be evacuated out of here in what we call the rapture. That is that's the signless event that is the next event on the prophetic calendar to happen. And that is the rapture of the church, so God can begin the 70th week, the last week for the nation of Israel, to bring about her salvation, at the same time judging a world that has rejected the gospel of Jesus Christ. So for you need to make sure that you've received the gospel of Jesus Christ, that you placed your faith and trust in that Jesus died for your sins and rose again from the dead. When you place your faith and trust in him, the Bible says that you will be given the gift of eternal life, that you will be given the gift of the Holy Spirit, and that through that gift you will be now part of the bride of Christ that will be taken out of here before the tribulation period that is coming. And time is running out. It is right on the threshold of happening in human history. Don't think for a minute that things have slowed down or backed off, or we have more time and we have to wait and see this. No, you don't. Things could happen very quickly and very rapidly in this world. We've seen it happen before. We are maybe we're taking a breath between contractions of the sorrows, the growing birth pangs, but it is going to happen, and it's going to happen in a moment, in a twinkling of an eye. When the last trumpet blows and the archangel says, come up here, and we are evacuated, and then all hell will literally break out upon this planet. So make sure that you're found in Christ and you don't have to suffer those things that are coming. And so thank you for watching this, and we'll see you next week on Monday for our Bible edition of Apologetics and Prophecy. Thank you, and God bless, and have a great weekend, and Maranatha. If you have been blessed by this podcast, please subscribe and share to help get the word out in these last days. If you'd like more information or to contact us, please go to calvarysolidground.com. God bless you, and see you next time on Apologetics and Prophecy.